Tales from the wild. Stories from the heart. A journey into the mind and soul of fired-up business professionals where they share their vision for the future. And hear from a different non-profit organization every month as they create awareness of their goals and their needs. Dive into a world of untamed passion as we join our host, Shireen for this month's episode of Friends from Wild Places.
All right. Hi, good day. Goeiedag professionals. Shireen here. I'm your virtual bookkeeper and QuickBooks advisor from Shireen's Bookkeeping Services. Let's talk about accounts payable and bill pay processes. This is the place where fraud can be committed, so it's important that I encourage my clients to have preventative internal controls in place. All my client needs is to be taken care of and to shake hands and cut checks. They need to be the only person that authorizes money outflow. As their bookkeeper, it's my job to encourage clients to keep their fingers on the pulse of their business and to record all money outflow. Call Shireen's Bookkeeping Services today and let's stay on top of those bills. If you want to know more, go check me out at www.shireensbookkeeping.com and allow me to keep your books clean. Hi everyone and welcome back. I am your host, Shireen and I am so glad that you are listening in. I have the opportunity to introduce my co-host today, who is Alex Cowley. Alex Cowley is a luxury real estate agent with Vanguard Properties in the Bay Area, California, United States, and is also part of my BNI chapter named High Performance Referrals. And it is such an honor to have her on the show today. So welcome, Alex. It's good to have you on board.
Thank you, Shireen. I'm so happy to be here.
Well, it's a pleasure having you. And as I said, I met Alex through my BNI group who meets online on Zoom every Tuesday at 7 a.m. PST time. Alex, I'd like to just go in and ask you where BNI impacted you the most so far.
So first, I have to say that I've met a lot of really wonderful people through BNI, a lot of entrepreneurs, because we're all in the entrepreneurial business, right? And you learn from other entrepreneurs. So I've met people across a variety of categories. And then within our group itself, I feel as though I've learned how to not manage my business, but set up my business, structure my business in a way that will be more beneficial for my clients and also more productive for me. So I would say that I've learned how to be more accountable to myself and building the steps to creating a successful business, because that's what BNI is all about. It's about helping you do that by working with other people. And we've really been able to do that with our group.
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree. I think it's really important for any business owner or entrepreneur to be part of a networking group, not only to help their business, but as you said, for accountability and for that support as a team to help you in your business as well and to grow your client base. So that's awesome. For those that are listening, if you are not part of a networking group and would like to be, and if you are working within the Bay Area or you have a business where you can perform from anywhere in the world and you would like to visit a few networking groups and you're not sure where to start, you are more than welcome to come and join us and come and visit. There's no pressure to join. I will leave our BNI website for you. You can either just click on there and register to come and visit, or you can email me at shireen@shireensbookkeeping.com. That's shireen@shireensbookkeeping.com. And you can let me know that you want to come and visit, and we will set you up and get you registered for a visitation. So that's great. And we're looking forward to seeing you. So I'd like to start this episode just with a few quotes. And the first one is, busyness is a deception and a curse. It steals from you the life that you should be having, which is quite an impactful one, as well as only I can change my life. No one can do it for me. And that was by Carol Burnett. So it's all about prioritizing your life and making sure that you don't fall into the trap of being busy, because I do agree. I think it can really steal from you in many parts of your life. And, it starts with you. It starts with you and your calendar, to be able to set time aside for the things that you love, whether that be family, whether that be friends, whether that be healthy activities to refill your tank, whatever that is. It's important to set that time aside before you fill it up with other things that are important, but not as important, like setting up one-to-ones for BNI, or having a consultation with new prospect clients. So it's really important to make your priorities and set them and make sure you stick to those priorities.
I agree.
Right. And sitting down for lunch to eat is actually a priority. So if you put that down, and it's a struggle for many people. And if you need to put that down in your calendar to make sure that you sit down and eat, because you're the only person that knows yourself and the areas that you struggle with, because there are people that do that. They will go throughout the day, busy themselves up with all the busyness they can do, and then they completely forget to eat anything, which is also not.
Hopefully your stomach will lead you there. Oh, I'm hungry. It's making noises, or wow, I'm feeling a little bit lightheaded.
Right. So yeah, it's just, we're going to talk more about that, but yeah, it's all about prioritizing. And for you and me, Alex, my stomach will tell me that I'm hungry, or I will start getting hangry. I don't know if you get hangry.
I do.
Right. And
I start getting a little twitchy and witchy. Speaking of witches.
Right. And then I need to stop and move away and do something and eat something and then feel better and then come back and continue whatever I'm doing.
Right.
And yeah. So today is a very special episode as well. We're doing the Halloween edition. This is going to be released in October, so I thought it'll be something fun to do a nice little Halloween theme.
Absolutely.
Right. We've got some witches' hats going on here, and we've got some pirate outfits going on. So we're really getting into.
I love your pirate outfit, by the way. As I said, I'm just impressed that you even have that in your closet. I had to go buy my hat.
I think it's gorgeous. And I absolutely love the fall colors that you guys have in the United States.
Yeah.
The oranges and the reds and the yellows. It's stunning. So perfect colors.
Yeah. And you see it more back east than you do out here on the West Coast, because, it starts getting colder there faster. But I love fall.
Oh my gosh. And that's so true. You guys all live in the United States, but yet if you live on the opposite side of the United States, it might be something completely different, which is super amazing. Okay, so again, thank you, Alex, for joining us. And I want to get into it by asking you to just share with us a little bit about where you come from and who you are.
So I kind of come from all over. And what I mean by that is I'm very curious about people. And the reason that is, I believe, is because my father and my mother met in Paris, and they were both working at the American Embassy. And my parents married, and my father went to work for my grandfather, who ran Mobil Oil there in France, and kind of in all over parts of that, Western world. And so my father went and worked for him. My two older sisters were born in Paris, and then they moved to Beirut. And after they were in Beirut, they moved to Africa, or really more specifically, the Belgian Congo, to a town called Bukavu, which is where I was born. And funny little story is that my parents had a huge party planned for New Year's Eve, which is when I decided I was going to show up. So the party went on. My mother was in the hospital, but the party continued into the next morning as everybody traipsed into the hospital room, put their fingers in bottles of champagne and stuck it in my mouth. To this day, I cannot stand champagne.
What?
It wasn't even 24 hours old. I was already no, I mean, it was really bad. But anyway, so we left the Belgian Congo right before the Congolese War broke out. I went to Belgium, then we went to New York for 3 years, and we moved to Puerto Rico for 10 years. So I also speak Spanish. And then we moved back to New York, and I was in New York, went to Virginia for boarding school, went outside of state for college, went back to New York, and then made my way here to California in 1992. So I've kind of been all over the place, and it has allowed me or given me the opportunity to, I think, really embrace and appreciate people's stories from all over. I'm just really curious. And because most people we meet are either born, in Africa, where you are, South Africa, or somewhere in the United States, they might have lived in other places, but I've lived in other places and I was born in other places. So it was just kind of cool. And I was given the opportunity to become Belgian at 18 because I was born in the Belgian Congo, or keep my American citizenship. So I kept my American citizenship. But anyway, so I basically have been here in California now for almost 30 years, actually. I'm a mother to 27-year-old twins, a mother to 2 beautiful furry babies, a charcoal lab and a golden retriever. And then I'm also a stepmother to a son and a daughter. And I've been in real estate now for 5 years, and I was in corporate America before that, always in sales.
Wow.
And have just really loved it and feel really lucky to live where I do, because it's a beautiful state that we live in, and it's a beautiful country.
It is. And tell me, Alex, why real estate?
So, like I said, I was in corporate America forever, and I really wanted to be in an environment or in an industry, if you will, where I could work for as long as I wanted to work, and no one else had the power to say, you can't do this anymore, right? And that's what happens with corporate America. I was with a company called Time Incorporated that no longer exists, and had brands like Sports Illustrated and Real Simple and things like that. And so those are some of the brands that I worked on. And you're at the mercy of what was going on with corporate, whether they decided to keep you or not. So that's why I decided that I wanted to do this. And I had wanted to do this when my kids were young. I am divorced and obviously now with someone else, my husband, but I like the steady paycheck that corporate America provided me. And sometimes, real estate can go up and can go down. So I love it, but that's why I didn't do it when my kids were younger, because I needed to make sure that there was, that I was bringing home food.
Absolutely. Completely understand that. So would you say you run your own business as a real estate agent, or how does it work?
So while I hang my shingle at Vanguard Properties, because they are a brokerage, I'm actually an independent contractor. So it means that I'm responsible for getting my own business. No one hands me leads, but I have to, as an agent, work with a brokerage from a legal standpoint. But I'm definitely an independent contractor, and it is my own business. It is not Vanguard's business. So if I was to leave Vanguard Properties and go to another agency, another brokerage, my business would come with me.
Right. And what are the benefits of being part of a brokerage?
Right. So being part of a brokerage, you have a community of agents around you at all times, right? So that you can share your intel on what's going on in the market. You can hear about listings or, properties that are going to be coming out on the market ahead of other people, so that you have an opportunity to get them in front of your buyers if you're working with buyers in that particular price point. And as an agent, I have a legal responsibility. A contract is a legal contract. So when I'm working with sellers or buyers, whatever I'm working with is a legal contract. So by working with a brokerage, there is a broker above me, if you will, and it's the overarching broker, but every agency has a managing broker that can also take on the legal responsibilities for anything that I, as an agent, am doing. So the legal umbrella is huge. And I can also go to my brokerage if I have a legal question and say, you know what, this has just come up. How do I deal with it?
Right.
So that's the benefit. An agent has, like I said, a real estate agent has to work under a brokerage. A broker, you can become a broker. You need more education. If I was a broker, then I could be my own brokerage.
Right.
I just choose to be within a larger brokerage where I then also have marketing services available to me. And then you also have opportunities to work with other agents. If you don't have an open house or listing yourself, you can maybe help another agent and potentially pick up clients.
Nice. That's awesome.
So it's, but it's really having that team of that community of other agents around you that you learn from.
Yeah.
And I mean, I love what I do, and I love the people that I work with.
That's awesome. That always matters when you have an awesome team to work with. And
right.
so,
What it does is it gives you just a box of tools and resources. Right.
Exactly. And so, Alex, could you tell me a little bit about more of your day-to-day roles in what you do as a real estate agent?
Sure. Sure. So at the end of the day, I help sellers sell their houses at a maximum profit, and I help buyers buy properties for less money than they need to. Right. So that's, so at the end of the day, that's what I'm trying to do, is to help save money all the way around, because my fiduciary responsibility is to protect my particular clients. And so I become that squeaky wheel with the other agents, making sure that I know what's going on. How does my clients, contract look versus others, letting them know that we really, we're really very eager to win the deal, if you will.
Right.
On a day-to-day basis, what I am really doing is I'm speaking with clients. If I have a new client, I'm speaking with clients about what they're looking for, kind of helping them, asking them to build their dream house for me, right? Or if it's a seller, what is it, why are they leaving? What was the thing that they loved about their house, so that I can then communicate that to whoever the buyers are. Mm-hmm. I'm also very involved in looking at all of the inventory that is out there, because at the end of the day, if I'm working with a seller, I have to know what the other comparable properties are that are out there, so that we can come up with a good price. I also have to, when working with buyers, be able to, if they say, oh, I'd love to see this house, then be able to share what's going on with that house, because I've gone off and looked at it. I'm doing marketing. I am doing marketing because I'm always looking for new clients. I'm also putting my network of service providers, like mortgage brokers or appraisers or inspectors, contractors, painters. I'm always putting those service providers in front of my clients, so that if they need something, if we're listing their house, then we've got those providers that we can use. If it's a buyer and they want to do something with their house after they've bought it, then I have a list of people that I trust and who trust me, that can then come back and do a really good job. And, to go back to your original question of, what has B&I done for me so far? Even though I already knew people, I'm constantly meeting new service providers that I can then, who I trust, that I can then put in front of my clients to say, this person is good. They'll do very good work for you. So at the end of the day, what I really do is I guide my clients through the process of either selling or buying real estate, and it can be stressful for them. So my goal is to try to make it as fun for them as I possibly can.
Oh, that's awesome, Alex.
Yeah.
And what makes you different from any of the other real estate agents?
It's always a hard one, because we all, at the end of the day, are expected to know the market, right? Expected to know contracts, etc.
Mm-hmm.
I would say that what makes me different is I'm very focused on building relationships. I am not focused on, I've got to get that transaction done
Right.
because it's not my journey, right? It's my client's journey. Again, whether they're selling or they're buying.
Right.
So I want to be there as a trusted guide. I want to be there as someone that they turn to after they've gone through the process and refer me, but also know that they can always turn to me because I'm going to have someone that I can refer to them, if you will.
Yeah.
So for me, like I said, it's my ability to build relationships with clients, to help guide them through the process of a real estate transaction and help them feel really comfortable doing that. Like I said, everyone is supposed to be, market knowledgeable. Not everybody is. Not everybody is good at walking through the contracts. I love walking through the contracts, and I do my own transactions. I don't have a transaction coordinator that makes sure that all the paperwork is in.
Right.
And I also, I love that I'm a big problem solver. And being a problem solver, you just have to make sure that you're listening well, right? And you're asking very probing questions. And I think that I do a really good job with that. I'm very good at communication. I'm very prompt with my communication. I don't like clients waiting. And that's what I hear oftentimes is, wow, you got back to me so quickly. I can't believe it. Thank you so much. And I would say last that I am very honest. And this can be like when you were talking about with bookkeeping and fraud happening. It's not that fraud is happening in real estate, but there's some people don't have a lot of integrity, right? They're just there to kind of get the deal done. And that's not who I am. So I really connect with people well because my personality gels with a lot of people. Yes.
I love it.
So yeah.
Well,
And I guess the last thing is that my clients become my family and vice versa. And I had a client refer me to someone last week, and I thanked her. And she said, "Of course, you're now our family."
Oh,
And that to me was, the best compliment that I could get, right?
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think Alex, just from knowing you, you seem to, every compliment you've been given is based on the uniqueness that you bring to the table that no one else can. And it's awesome to see. It's inspiring to see.
Thank you.
You inspire
Well, it's about
others.
sorry.
No. I mean, I was just going to say, you inspire others to be themselves, uniquely and genuinely themselves. So, sorry, go ahead.
No, thank you. I was just going to say that I'm a giver by nature. So I actually, and my family has always said this, I kind of go above and beyond. And I do that with my clients because I love to do that.
That's awesome. And I'm glad you mentioned that. And I had another question, but I would like to actually talk about what you just mentioned now. Did becoming a real estate agent, was that something that you came naturally to you, or was that something you had to nurture? So the entrepreneur side of you, did it come naturally, or did you have to nurture that side of yourself?
So I'm a nurturer for sure, right? Yeah. Because I'm driven more by relationships and fostering those relationships. When it comes to real estate, it was scary for me because, again, I'd been with corporate America forever, right? So even though I was running my own business, because my management was in New York and I was here in California, and I saw them twice a year, you're still working for an organization, right? For some people, there's something very calming and comforting about that. When you go off on your own, whether it's in real estate or whatever, but in my case, in real estate, you have to be a self-starter. You have to have that strength of character to say, I'm just going to kind of keep going through this, because no one's really there. Like you can go to training and all of that, but no one is there saying, okay, you got to sit down today and do X, Y, Z. And that's been the hardest thing for me, for sure, because I'm not good at marketing myself. Yeah. I am not someone who's great at tooting my own horn.
Exactly.
And look at how great I am. Look what I've done. It doesn't come naturally to me. And for some people, it comes very naturally to them. So I didn't have to talk myself into real estate, but it was a scary leap to go from, I'm just going to go pursue something else where I've got this steady paycheck, to I've got a lot of flexibility in my day, but with that flexibility comes me having to organize my day.
Right. Exactly.
So I had to nurture my soul in order to do it. If that makes sense.
Yes, because that's very similar to how I feel about my journey in starting my own business. I am definitely a nurturer. And so for me to jump to getting that check every month, to just throwing myself into business owning and entrepreneurship, it was a very scary jump. And I'm marketing myself as I'm not good with that. And so it's definitely a learning curve.
Yeah, it is.
Right.
And when you think about some of the people in BNI, they've been doing their jobs for a very long time.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So that fear that might exist for you and me doesn't necessarily exist. It's not that it doesn't exist, but they've been doing it for so long, for 15, 20 years, that fear doesn't exist anymore.
Right.
But I think fear drives you, right? And I don't want to use the word fear, but it challenges you and it motivates you, because we all want to be successful, however you define success.
Exactly.
And for many of us, you were mentioning earlier about, busy work.
Mm-hmm.
It's more than just being busy in your day. It's taking pride and really liking what you're doing and understanding what drives you to do that.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. Because fear is a natural experience. And I hope to be able to say that I want to be courageous, which is feeling that fear, but still doing it.
Right.
Because fear is a natural experience and a feeling and an emotion to go through. It's just standing up to that fear and going, I can feel that, but you know what, I'm going to still do it. So,
right.
And I think those people that have been in BNI for a really long time have built that courage up over the years of doing it. And I think I'm still getting there.
Yeah. Well, I think about some of the people in our group, and I think about Matt Wadlington, who is our contractor, right?
Yeah.
He was at one point part of BNI way back when, left, and now he's a very high-end contractor. And I brought him into the group, and he's now taken on another opportunity from another person in our group that's going to help him grow his business. So, it's as long as you keep learning every day, right? So that's what I mean. You can be curious about people, but you also have to just be curious about what's around you. And how does that work into your business?
Right. 100%. And tell me, Alex, what is one of the greatest lessons that you've learned on this journey of being a real estate agent?
There have been a couple. One, though, I will say is, sometimes you will be introduced to a client, and for whatever reason, it doesn't click, it doesn't gel, because not everybody doesn't gel with everybody. Doesn't matter who you are. At the end of the day, I want someone when I call to go, oh my gosh, it's Alex, not, oh my God, it's Alex, I've got to talk to her.
Right.
So it's when you get disappointed or upset about either a relationship that has gone south or something, I've had to learn how to let myself, wallow's the wrong word, but kind of be upset about it for 24 hours.
Right.
And then move on.
Yes.
And I never really knew how to do that before. And it's been hard. However, there are still some things that stick in my craw.
Oh, yeah.
But I've definitely allowed them to kind of go by the wayside and say, sometimes people aren't meant to work together, or they're fickle or whatever.
Right.
So
right. Yeah.
That to me that's been a big lesson.
Right.
Every person is different, because before I sold a product, right? And that product was a real simple or a cooking light or something like that, whether it was the print side of it or the digital side of it. So I was selling a product. I was the person behind the product, but I was selling a product.
Right.
Now I'm selling me, right? And my knowledge, but you have to want to work with me.
Right.
So that's been the biggest lesson I took away from this.
I agree. Yeah, it's to not get hung up on those moments that, make you sad or disappoint you, but just get up, dust yourself off, and keep on moving.
Exactly.
Yeah, I can relate to that myself, Alex. And so I just want to ask you, where do you see yourself in 10 years? And what are you doing to get yourself there?
So in 10 years, I won't say how old I'll be, but I'll be older. And in 10 years' time, my ideal would be that my business is 100% referral. I'm not necessarily here. So I can then, if I have a client coming to me saying, I want to sell or I want to buy or whatever, if I'm not here, I can refer it out.
Right.
So that there's just that constant stream of business that's coming in. I also, in 10 years, want to have a bigger pool of clients who I call friends, right? Who are part of my family. I don't know if I can't say that in 10 years, I don't see myself working full time, because I do like to work. I get bored very easily.
Right.
And I love to hike or play pickleball and things like this. There's just so much of that you can do.
Right.
You've got to be doing something else, right? To nurture your mind. And so in 10 years, I might be working full time. I might not. I also wouldn't mind the opportunity to live somewhere else. I don't know where that somewhere else is. I'd love to live in Europe.
Right.
Or be here for 6 months in California and be 6 months somewhere else. So therefore, I can still be working, keeping my fingers in the till.
I like
But,
that.
And what are the steps that I'm taking to get there? It's the baby steps. It's, when you get a warm referral, it's nice, right? Because it means that the person who's referring you has had a very good experience with you. So what I'm trying to do is I stay in constant touch with my clients, and I am working on trying to get new clients, and that I'm going to be working with someone at the end of this month to help me with my marketing. Nice. So I'm still trying to master the whole social thing. I mean, I'm on social media, but I'm still, again, it's getting out there and marketing myself, which is hard because I'm not that woot woot, here's Alex, yes, look how great I am person. But just continuing to nurture what I have, not losing momentum and not getting discouraged, because every day is a different day.
Right. Right. And so tell me, how do you prioritize your life to make sure that you don't start getting distracted with the busy work?
So after this, for example, I'm going to be taking my furry babies, Maximus and Augie, on a hike. So I try to get out for an hour and a half walk / hike every day if I can, or doing something like that where my body is active, wow, but I'm outside as much as I can. So I'm breathing, the good air. It's also helping to clear my head. Yeah. I love to read. And so I do try to, it's funny. We all spend so much time on our phones, right? Or yeah, on our iPads or whatever. Yeah. But it keeps your brain wired. So I love to read, but I need to get myself back into reading books as opposed to reading it on my iPad, because that just keeps you going. Yeah. I love spending time with my family and my friends, because they keep you grounded and they keep you laughing. Yes. So I try as much as possible every day to carve out 1 to 2 hours that are just about, for me, not about me, but are for me, that I'm doing something that is active. And I am one of these weird people that also loves to organize my house. So believe it or not, that is something that I can do to clear my mind too, because it calms me down. I don't know why.
Right. No, that's not weird at all. I love that.
Nesting.
No, that's awesome. Thank you so much, Alex. Thanks for being again on the podcast today. It really has meant a lot to me. And talking about podcasts, today is a great day to start your own podcast. Whether you're looking for a new, marketing strategy or trying to get a message unique out to the world, or you think it'll be fun to have your own talk show. Who knows? Whatever the reason is, podcasting is an easy, inexpensive, and fun way to expand your reach online. Start with some gear that you already have and a quiet space. If you want to upgrade, Buzzsprout has tons of guides to help you find the right equipment at the right price. So to start your own podcast and get a $20 Amazon gift card, follow the link in the show notes. This lets Buzzsprout know we sent you and helps support our show. Buzzsprout, let's create something great together. That was awesome. And I would like to introduce the person, the nonprofit of the show. But before I do, I want to do a never have I ever question for you, Alex. We are doing it a little bit different. This is not the usual layout of the podcast, but I'm going to twist it up a little bit. So it's the Halloween edition. So we're going to do a Halloween style. Never have I ever. So if you've never done this, then stick your hand up. But if you have experienced it, then keep your hand down and you have a story to tell. So Alex, never have I ever been in a haunted house. You have? Okay, please tell me.
Yeah. Oh no, I mean, it's not a fun, it's just that I went into a haunted house when I was with my kids. And they were, of course, like, oh my gosh. And I was, of course, oh my gosh, wait, what's going on here? Because it's set up to scare you. But it was just nothing, there was no, like, at one point, some sort of like ghost popped out and, you can't help but scream, you're in a safe environment, but it's dark, right? You're not outside. It's not sunny. So you're like, oh my God, what's coming to get me? So
yes,
it was fun.
Okay, we don't really do the haunted house commercial thing. So in America, you guys actually set up a house with actors and,
Right.
you dressed everything up and things are moving about and sounds are scaring you and it's all dark and you walk through this maze kind of thing as you go through this haunted house. We do have actual haunted houses.
Right. That's a different story.
Which is they do actually, Halloween is not a very big thing in South Africa, but if you look for it and search and Google for it, you can find that there are places that are haunted in South Africa and that during the Halloween season, they like to do a little ghost tour, which is
Oh, wow.
right. Which they tell you about the history of the building and, what happened inside the building and some of the deaths and accidents that have happened there. And so Johannesburg, Johannesburg has one of those. And I went on that. I must be honest, it's, when you walk into a house or a building, let's just say building that has some sort of a historical background, it's already spooky in itself.
Yeah.
In a good way, because I love history. But it does give it a
No, you're right. You get
Right?
that feeling of like, wow, it's not, the word's not overwhelming, but you feel like you need to be quiet because there's so much history in the building. Yeah.
Shireen whispers, yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So and I've also been to a couple of haunted houses in America as well, and those were a lot of fun and so exciting. And I ended up I'm the person that everyone pushes to go first.
Of course you are, because you're the
Right.
adventurer.
Right. And then, but yet everyone is screaming, blood curdling screams behind me. And I'm cackling myself because the screams are making me laugh. And,
Right.
these people jumping out from all over the place. So where I should be screaming bloody murder, I'm actually laughing, and I'm not too sure if that makes me
Actually, no, I think that's really good. No, it does not. And America goes, boy, do we love Halloween. And some people can go just gaga over Halloween and Christmas and, it's all about the decorations. Yeah.
And I love that about you guys. You guys you go all out, and it's definitely.
I'm a little more understated, personally.
Really.
This is my haunted house here on top of my head. Ooh, my head witches.
I love it. I think the fact that you're game to do this and be part of the team it's awesome. And so thank you for taking part. Yeah. So one more. Never have I ever seen a spirit.
Oh, a spirit. Oh, a spirit.
I've never. I can't say I have.
I don't think I've seen a spirit. I mean, I hear people talk about, oh, someone was in the house or I felt something, but I've knock on wood.
Right.
I have not. And although I think things can come to you in your dreams.
Yes.
Is that what you mean too?
Right.
So I remember, I mean, it's not your typical, but I remember my father died 11 years ago in May. And I remember after he died, I had a dream where he came to me in that dream. It's a very vivid dream. I can still remember it.
Wow.
Clearly it's vivid. And he was dressed as he always dressed, which was in his blue blazer, his gray slacks and his nice loafers. And we were, I don't know, chatting about what in a hotel lobby, and we had to leave. And I was going out one door and he was going out the other door. And I was trying to get him to come out this one door with me. And he said, no, I've got to go out this door. So I know that he was coming down to tell me in my dreams, but he was coming to me to say, I'm okay. Wow. And I love you and I miss you and you're going to be okay, but I have to leave now. And it was, I still get goosebumps, but that to me is like a very friendly spirit who came to say hello and goodbye. Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
I love that.
And not a scary spirit.
No. And that's why I said spirit, because, that can be good as well. It doesn't have to be scary. And yeah, for me, in the sense of seeing a spirit, no, I don't think I have ever. Have I felt uncomfortable in a house or a building and wanted to get out of there ASAP? Yes, I've, felt that, but I don't think I've ever seen a spirit of any.
Right.
That's awesome. Okay, so let's bring on our nonprofit, and that's going to be Amanda DuPre. So let's get her in the room here. Welcome, Amanda, to the show, the Halloween edition. Welcome. We're so happy to have you here. Amanda DuPre is director of Leukemia and Lymphoma Society in South Carolina, United States. And Amanda is also part of the BNI network, and she's part of her own chapter called Referrals of Intentionality. So it's so good to have you here, and welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I'm glad to be here.
Awesome. So I know I mentioned that I have met you through BNI. So my first question I'm going to go straight into is, what's your biggest takeaway from BNI thus far? You can even share an example.
Yeah. So I have been in BNI just over a year and a half now, and really it's those connections I've made. So being able to spread my awareness of our organization has really helped, but other connections, we actually bought a house 6 months into that. So I've had a lot of referrals myself as well through that. And, which has been very helpful, both personally and professionally. So definitely, we actually had a candidate last year from our local BNI, not my chapter, but like in our area, was one of our candidates for a campaign. So they raised a lot of money for us, which was great.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. Yeah, I totally agree with you. I think for me, when it comes to the values that BNI brings. That would be for me the long life and long-term learning, because they've got so many different courses that you can do. So if you're a little bit not with the confidence is not too high and you need a little push on how to network and how to work inside of the BNI team, then they do have these courses, which is fantastic. And I absolutely love it. So thank you for sharing, Amanda. I really appreciate it.
Of course. Of course.
Right. So Amanda, please just tell us a little bit about who you are and where you're from.
So Amanda DuPre. So I am originally from Michigan, just outside of the Detroit area. And I actually always wanted to move away or go away for school, but I never did. I stayed local. So I decided right after I graduated to move to Chicago, Illinois. And then I ended up moving because Chicago is really expensive to live in. Love it, but just really expensive to live. At the job I was at currently, they had an opening in Charlotte, North Carolina. So I moved down there, and then I met my husband and moved down to South Carolina. So kind of been all over the place. I've been in nonprofit world for a while, about 6.5 years now with Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. Married, I have 3 dogs, only fur babies. So that's why I was looking back.
That's awesome. So tell me, why did you choose to get involved with Leukemia and Lymphoma Society?
Yeah, so I mentioned I've worked for nonprofits. I worked for a breast cancer organization, muscular dystrophy association in the past. But my dad, about 14 years ago, was diagnosed with leukemia. And so I was like, all right, I'm already in this nonprofit realm. I definitely need to work at the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. So he's doing great now. He is a almost 14-year survivor. And it's funny, I actually applied with the organization a few years after he was diagnosed, and then I did not get the job. But then about 4 years later, they actually recruited me to come work for them. So I felt like it was meant to be. It wasn't the time when I applied originally. And, I feel things happen for a reason. And so, yeah, so that's how I came to work here. And then actually just a year ago, July, my mom was actually diagnosed with another type of blood cancer, multiple myeloma. So I definitely am meant to be here because, we're doing good things. And, both my parents have had some sort of blood cancer, but they are doing great. So.
Wow. So Amanda, talking about Leukemia and Lymphoma Society, I'd love you to just tell us a little bit about the progress that they've made over the past 10 years.
Yeah, so Leukemia and Lymphoma Society, to start off, is we are an organization trying to cure blood cancers, but we also help the patients and their families as well, because they need that support, they need the information they can't always get locally. So a lot of the things that we've done, though, in the past 10 years, more specifically the last 6 years is our research has been going through the roof, and we've actually helped. There's been almost, I think, 100 FDA approvals for blood cancer specifically in the last 6 years, since 2017, so almost 7. And we actually have helped advance about 75% of those. So we are making a huge step forward into the blood cancer research. And, that's not all that we do, but that is one of the biggest things. 2 of the other great programs that we've had, one started like about 6 years ago. It was right after I started. They started a Beat AML trial. So AML, acute myeloid leukemia, that one is like the worst type you can get. So like anyone who ever got that it was like a death sentence, unfortunately. There are lots of subtypes, and actually my dad had one of those subtypes, and it's very curable for that type, but most of them are very hard. So what they did is our researchers went to our CEO and said, we need to do something better. We need to find better treatments, better cures for these diseases. We have to stop losing people. So they came up with a trial called the AML. So this trial, I believe, was 65 and older, newly diagnosed. And they got put into this trial where they were getting, genetic testing, different, just trying to really pinpoint. And I believe that that's where a few of these new treatments have come out of, is because of that trial, because that's, progressed over the years. So that was about 6 years ago. Just this past year, we actually, our researchers, same thing. They were like, hey, we've not had any changes in childhood cancer. Like, there's only been about 4 drugs in the past 40 years that have been approved only for our children. And so these children are getting the same exact doses us as adults would get if we had to have the treatment. So their little bodies can't handle that sometimes. So they have a lot of different side effects and, lifelong learning and disabilities sometimes because of these strong cancer or chemotherapies that are going into their bodies to kill the cancer. So just this past year, and we've been talking about it for several years, getting it geared up, getting it funded, but just this past year, we started our Dare to Dream project. So it started off as our children's initiative, but again, same concept of that. The AML is we are really gearing into these children. We're doing screenings at multiple, I think the last time I heard, we were in like 60 different hospitals across the country getting screenings to try to find like similarities in some of the things. And, the researchers are then trying to find better cures. So that just kicked off this past summer, and we keep getting updates, and it's more and more hospitals keep joining. So of course that's going to take, research takes a while, unfortunately. So that's going to take a little bit of time before we see anything from that, but really excited about the next 10 years of what that's gonna be. So lots of good things happening. So
Definitely. At this point, there's no cure yet, but we've definitely come a long way in the sense of how to treat the disease. But I'm glad you're very optimistic and positive about the future and getting that cure. So thank you very much.
And many of ours, there's several types of subtypes that they can take a chemo pill for the rest of their life. We have one of our volunteers, actually, he's like, yep, I just take this pill. I've been taking it for years now and I'm completely fine, so there's those types of treatments, which are very amazing.
Yeah, and we're very grateful for that. So you did touch on it a little bit, but if you could just tell us a little bit more about some of the programs and events that you offer.
Absolutely. So I kind of talk more about like what LLS in a whole is doing, but obviously, again, the research is one of our biggest things. And how else do we pay for that but by fundraising? So that's more where my job comes in. So I, being the campaign development director, I'm in Columbia, South Carolina. So I'm over a lot of our events. So 2 of our largest events we have are our Light the Night events, which is what my background is. So that's our fall community event. It's a great event, especially for survivors, if folks lost someone, or if they're in current treatment. It's a great event to get their families involved. Everyone it's a quick little walk. Everyone gets a little lantern. It's a fundraising event, obviously. You raise $100, you get a t-shirt. And then there's, if you raise $1,000, you get a nicer long sleeve, t-shirt type thing. But we'll get teams together. But what I was saying is those lanterns in my background, each color symbolizes something else. So the red are for something I would carry a red. So I support all people either going through. A gold is if someone had lost someone. So if, I had lost someone in my life, I could carry the gold in their memory, basically. But then the white are my favorite ones because those are our survivors. So if you've never been to one of our Light the Night events, I highly recommend it. And you can just go to lightthenight.org and find your local campaign. But it's a great event because one, we have it at night and those lanterns light up. So we get our survivors all to light theirs at the same time and really just, talk about their success stories. We'll have one of our survivors up on the stage, and tell their story. Same with the gold lantern. We'll have a family member up there that maybe had lost someone. And then we'll have someone to do the red ones as well. But everyone lights them at a different time and it symbolizes, it's just a really, really great way to honor these families as well. Very family friendly too. That's the best part about it because everyone's invited. It's a great corporate event. So if, we get a lot of corporate companies involved where they want to get their teams together to just do something good in the community. So we have a lot of the corporate engagement as well as those family teams. So schools are another thing that we will get schools involved as well. So that's our one campaign. Our other one is more in the spring, and it's kind of a twofold. It's called our Visionaries of the Year and Student Visionaries of the Year. Now, this one's a little more unique because students or adults are nominated to run as a visionary. And what that means is it's a 10-week for the adults, 7-week for the students fundraising competition. So essentially $1 equals a vote. And at the end of that 10 or 7 weeks, we announce who the winner is. So it's a really fun campaign, but like I said, they're nominated. So not just everyone can just be like, I want to do this. If you nominate yourself, we go through kind of like a little interview process to just make sure that they have the capabilities. These folks, this campaign is more about blowing it out of the water, like going out there, raising the most money you can to like really make a difference, which is a good thing because these people are raising $50,000, $100,000 for over these 10 weeks. So right now we're in recruitment phase for these folks in the spring because we want them to set up their plan and kind of figure out what they're going to do once that campaign kicks off in the spring. This one ends with like a gala at the end of the 10 or 7 weeks where we'll announce that. The other aspect on that is we have 3 pillars with our mission. So we have our research, which we talked a little bit about, our patient access, I kind of touched on that, but our last one is advocacy. You know, we need to get out there and spread the word of LLS, get more laws passed for our patients so that way there's not, you know, like high medical bills and stuff like that, you know, surprise medical bills we passed about a year ago. So with the campaign, also those pillars, they get to choose one of those pillars and focus on that and help us spread the word. You know, so if we have a new FDA approval, they might be out there spreading that on social media or, you know, getting a press release out for that. So that might be one of their things. So there's other ways of winning, not just the money side. So the more they spread the word, type things like that, and then we'll have a committee that chooses that for them. So it's really another way that they're helping LLS outreach for our mission.
That's awesome.
So those are our 2 main campaigns that we have. So
that's fantastic. It's so awesome. I love the light the night idea. I think that's just must look stunning with all those lanterns lit up. Right. So I just want to know, how far does Leukemia and Lymphoma Society reach? So what are the other states that they are in, and are they international, and how many different countries are they in?
Absolutely. So we are all over the United States. We have a region. They may not have an office in that state, but they will cover each of the states. So yes, each one is going to have at least the Light the Night and the Visionary. We also have nationally is our what was called Team in Training. We have that where people can go do a run or a hike or whatever. There's different things like that that they can fundraise for as well. We are also in Canada. At this moment, we are not anywhere across the country, else across the country, but I know that we do have researchers all over the world. So the way the researchers work is they apply for a grant from us, and then every year we give away X amount of grants, you know, lots of them, depending on the amount. It could be 500,000, it could be 5 million, depending on, you know, I don't know if it's really 5 million. I just threw that number out there just in case anyone goes looking, but it, you know, it could be any different thing, but I do know that we have researchers all over the country as well, the world.
That's awesome. All the help you can get is required. So Amanda, what is, now focusing more on you personally, what has been the biggest highlight that you will never forget on this journey with Leukemia and Lymphoma Society?
Ooh, good question. I really will have to say I've done a lot in this organization. I started off actually working on that Visionaries campaign. We actually just changed the name, but my first year, you know, I mentioned I came from nonprofits, so I was used to fundraising, but that campaign is so unique. And I still remember that first year when we announced the grand total. I had, because the one part I didn't mention with that is we keep their total secret. They know where they are, but they don't know where their competitors are anywhere in this. And I had 4 guys that were competing against each other one year, and they were all doing amazing because unfortunately, I know where they're at. So I don't really like that because they're always like, well, where am I? Where am I? I can't tell you. That's part of it, keep it a secret. So they were all doing really, really well. But then there was this one guy, Ernie Yarbrough. I tell him every year he's crazy, but he in a great way. But he decided he was going to swim across our lake here. And it is a big lake. He was swimming 10 miles. And that's how he was going to do his fundraising, because he's like, people need to see me do something extravagant. Like I need to go out and do something crazy for people to fundraise. And we're like, I'm not telling you have to do this, but if you want to do it, fine. So he did that. Well, his fundraising, again, all the guys were like really close. He shot out of nowhere. And the thing I loved about it, this is the part of the story, is so we're at that grand finale. He's in the back of the room pacing. He does not think he's winning. I know he is because he had jumped up ahead of these other guys. I mean, he is pacing in the back of the room. So when we announced that total that night, one, we surpassed our goal and beat last year's and everything, but just the look on his face, he raised $92,000. And yeah, $92,000, like so close to 100. But I mean, he crushed it. And I will never forget that moment, just seeing his face, and every year's been kind of the same, but like that first one just like changed everything for me. I was like, wow, like, I think that's when I knew I was in the right place. Like I knew this is where I was meant to be. So, and every year it's just gotten better from there. But that is probably one of my favorite stories because I didn't know what to expect. Even though I'd fundraised for years, like it's different. It's a totally different campaign and it's totally worthwhile though. So
that is awesome. That is such a great memory. And wow, that is a lot of money to fundraise, and so fantastic, and so much impact and a difference that he made doing that. It's so amazing.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the coolest thing about that campaign. So one thing I didn't mention about it is, so they are running for local man or woman of the year or visionary of the year now, but they can also be our national visionary of the year if they raise the most money. So he did not get that, but that year, I think the national folks raised like 200,000 or 300,000. Now these people are like crushing it and raising like $1 million in 10 weeks. It's ridiculously amazing. Like, yeah, none of my candidates have yet, but we'll get there. We'll get there one day.
That is so cool. That is so amazing. Yeah.
Our highest person raised here in Colombia was 151,000. And that was in year 2020 when the pandemic hit. So that was like crazy awesome. Yeah.
That is so cool.
He was quite amazing, that guy as well.
So do you have to be a professional swimmer or professional runner
Nope.
or something big? I mean,
Nope.
if I wanted to become a visionary, nothing special, when I say
no, really, no. And that's the funny thing. I tell people all the time, like, I don't expect you to do what Ernie did. Like, I want you to do what works for you. What is your strength, And so, no, that is not. So typically people we're looking for are, a lot of times it is those business owners or, top CEO or C-suite type folks. And mostly because those folks have those connections. They can make the decisions to get a sponsorship from their company. But we've also had across the country moms, stay-at-home moms that have won in the past. Oh, yeah, like everything, So it does. There isn't a specific. They just need to be one. The biggest thing is willing to ask. They need to be willing to ask for the money. If they can't ask for the money, they're not going to be successful. But definitely their connections, like business connections. But some people have a connection to blood cancer that run as candidates. Some don't, though. So we always have an honored hero that they can use as their inspiration. So these are children or young adults that have gone through or are going through leukemia or lymphoma or some type of blood cancer. And those kids will then speak or send us videos to inspire the folks, and stuff like that. But it's really the connections, being willing to ask, if they can get sponsorships, that's huge. So.
Right.
Yeah.
Good, because somebody as simple as me has a passion or desire to run. Like, for example, I would like to run for charity, so I'd like to every 5Ks be able to get someone to sponsor a certain amount of money. So, and running 5Ks all over the world, like run the world kind of a campaign.
That would be fun.
Every 5Ks. But again, I'm not a prize marathon runner. No, that's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. Can people donate? And in what ways can one contribute to Leukemia and Lymphoma Society?
Yeah, so obviously, like I mentioned, we are always fundraising to try to, fund our mission to find a cure. So we do have a general website, which is lls.org, so Leukemia and Lymphoma Society.org, so lls.org. And that is where you can find your local chapter, our region, market, events, all of that. You can make general donations on there. But again, if you wanted to set up a Light the Night team, going to the lls.org can get you to the lightthenight.org. Or go directly to lightthenight, all spelled out, .org, and find your local walk that's in your area. The other thing is we're always looking for volunteers. So if you have your BNI group or you're in community groups that are always looking for volunteer opportunities to get out and help, we always need help at the walks. So, find your local walk, go on out and see if you can volunteer. Again, we have a volunteer site that you could just put them looking. If you can't attend the walk, we're always looking for volunteers for other things. Or once the galas start happening, again, we'll need volunteers for that at the event. So it's a good way to go to one of our events and, be able to see it, but also, work it.
Right.
But yeah, volunteers are huge. Again, obviously the fundraising is also important, but we can't get a lot of these events done unless we have volunteers on the ground to help us. So we're only a few people.
Exactly. And that is lls.org. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. So again, for the listeners, it's lls.org, and all the information is going to be in the show notes for you. So if you are looking to donate, or if you are in the area and your local Leukemia and Lymphoma Society, please don't hesitate to donate your time, effort, or just, your money if you can. If you're too far away and you can't get to that local nonprofit. 100%. So yeah, please do that. And I just want to say something. So for those that are listening, you're okay because you're just hearing the audio of this podcast. But for those people that are watching on YouTube, yes, I get that you guys enjoy the video version with the audio. And I am doing a Zoom podcast. So I've got people Zooming in from all over the world. And sometimes the network isn't great. So you're going to see glitches and the video jump in, and sometimes you'll hear the audio and the mouth is not going with the words. I think we've come so far when it comes to technology. Just have a little grace and patience if you are watching. Well, thank you, Amanda. I really appreciate it. Yeah, it's been such a good podcast. We've done it a little bit differently, you may have noticed, and that's okay. Alex has been on with us today, and so has Amanda, and I really appreciate them both coming on and sharing their stories and their wisdom with us. And, as I said, busyness can steal a lot from you, and you don't want that anymore. And you can find me on all the social medias, Instagram, Facebook. Please go to lls.org. It's been awesome having Amanda on board here. And if you need all the information, please go to my website. It's friendsfromwildplaces.buzzsprout.com. That's the podcast's website, friendsfromwildplaces.buzzsprout.com. And if you'd like to catch my business side, that's on LinkedIn at Shireen Botha. Thank you so much for joining in and listening. We'll see you guys next time. And remember, you got this, and stay wild. Bye, guys.
You've been listening to Friends from Wild Places with Shireen Botha. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast from the links to catch every episode and unleash your passion.